My name is Stephanie. We are diving into the power to change. It's called The Loop, which, if you have been watching any of our lives, Steve has actually been talking about the loop or the cue almost in every live that we do, because I think it has really helped you realize, well, it's helped you in general. So this chapter I think is super, super powerful. As you're tuning in, tell us where you're tuning in from. Yeah. Where are you tuning in from? We're tuning in from Edmond, Oklahoma. So yesterday we were in Derby, Kansas. We're clearly in Edmond, Oklahoma. Not clearly, but telling you. We were doing some keto life parties, meeting some new friends. It was really a fun, incredible day. We're staying with friends now. We head to the border of Oklahoma, Arkansas mountains tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yep. And so if you're brand new, post new below. We'd love to get to know you. And we've been going through this book for 2 or 3 weeks. And I love the book. Steve loves the book. So many of you have been messaging me saying, hey, this book is really helping me realize who I am, what I want to go after. It's helping me change the way I hit goals, or I'm going after goals. And so this book is powerful. Grab the book, listen to the Audible. We're just giving you a brief overview of the chapters to help you understand and just to kind of get you started. But why are you so excited about this chapter? You can kick it off. Well, you really are the one that understands.
I know, but you've got all your highlights, which is so important.
I'm a highlighter. He's going to give you the highlights.
Well, I like it because if you're faithful with the little things, like it says right here, you'll be faithful with the larger ones as they show up. And for me, this has been transformational in so many different ways in regarding who I am before just starting a new habit.
Yep.
For me, it was actually taking these exercises very seriously and start thinking through what are the things that I'm going to stop? What are the things that I'm going to start?
Right.
But it's all hinged on who I am. And when I know who I am, I know what to do.
It's good. My friend Krista was messaging me this morning, and she's like, I'm going through the book. I'm actually doing the actions. It's really incredible. So if you don't have the book, grab it. If you've been doing it and you set it down, pick it back up. We want you to do the actions. And it's really, I think what's great is it's legitimately a couple pages of a thought and then an action step. So it's not a ton of reading. And so here's what he starts the chapter off. He shares a story about his dog and all of the different cues the dog has throughout the course of the day, which then gets a result or a reward. The dog knows when the door's opened, I get to go outside. When the garage door does this, I get to do this. When he says this, I get this, right? And that's like a dog.
Because if you think about that, we've trained our dogs to always bark.
Our dogs bark so
We've got to change up some of the cues and the cravings and the rewards. It'll be great.
But so he reviews what a habit is. A habit works with the way that your brain works. Your brain is wired to conserve energy, wanting things to be easy. So habits allow you to act without thinking. A habit allows good or bad behavior to happen without your brain actually having to take charge, right? So we've talked about habits and totally different. So here's what this chapter is about. He goes, a habit is a behavior you automatically fall into without your brain fully participating. So in general, he goes, here's what he wants you to understand. There's 3, but he gives 4, right?
There's 3, but 4.
But he adds 4.
That's great.
There's 3, but 4.
One more. Do one more.
So he says, from James Clear's book, he goes, there's a cue, there's a craving, there's a response, and there's a reward. So as you're going throughout your day, and your weeks, every day, there's a cue for you to do something, right? There's a craving, there's a response, and a reward. And how he explains it is this, and I'll let you share your story of what you want to do. The cue is the trigger that alerts your brain to go into autopilot by engaging in the habit. The craving is the physical, mental, or emotional need to a cue, and it leads you to satisfaction. The response is the behavior you routinely fall into, and the reward is how the behavior makes you feel. So if the behavior creates pleasure, your brain decides that the loop is worth remembering for the future. So the next time the cue appears, your brain will say, do it. So for example, I was sitting here reading this morning, and I was like, all right, what is a cue that I often have times people, they're like, I get home from work, I'm tired, I sit on the couch, the cue is the couch, they turn on the TV, it makes them happy, somebody brings them a bag of popcorn, it makes them happy, and so then the reward is happy. And so every night when they come home from work and they're tired, when they sit on the couch, that's the cue, the TV turns on, the bag of popcorn is made, right? It's like a cycle of how they feel at the end when the cue hits. And so obviously the brain goes, wait, I'm sitting on the couch. I need the TV on and I need the popcorn to be happy.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah. So today we want to challenge you with identifying what is that cue
right
for you. Because I think the last year and a half, we've really focused hard with helping our kids understand awareness.
Yep.
It was a word that we used all the time. If we were walking in a mall, we would talk about awareness. We would also like watch other people's unawareness. So the reason why this cue is so important is because your life, well, at least for us, it's not the same exact every single day.
Right.
When you're in a different environment, or if you work around different people, or if you travel for your job, or if there's any type of moving and grooving, we'll just say it that way. The awareness for me and the cue for me has just become the sugar. And I've shared this with you in the past of the sugar. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it makes me feel great. Mm-hmm. So I eat it. It makes you feel great in the moment. And then there's all of the negative recourse that comes with it.
Yeah.
And so what's been transformational for me is, okay, so for me in the house, I'll give you two different examples. For me in the house, we've had a lot of birthday parties.
Right.
Or like we're visiting our friends right now, and there's certain things that I see on the countertop. So if this were my home, what I would do is I would take those things because I see those as a cue or a trigger, and I would have to get them out of my eyesight.
Yeah.
I'd have to hide them. So I have the awareness that it's there, but I have to grab it. It's almost like taking your thought captive, which he talks about later on in the book, but it's taking that object. And for me, it's hiding it when I'm in the home. The next thing, when I'm out traveling, because my thing that I'm working through mm-hmm. and I'm conquering is this addiction around sugar. So it's like the dessert menu is a cue for me. So guess what? I have the awareness when I see it, or when I see the dessert tray, I ask myself this question. I never did this before, but what would somebody who's honoring his body eat in this moment? And sometimes my question don't mess up good for perfect, but ask yourself a question to trigger yourself an A or a B. In this moment, what would somebody who's honoring his temple for me, I want to honor God with my temple because it's where the Holy Spirit's housed. And I want it to be the best living example that I can do for it. So in that moment, and the book is called, because I'm seeing that a lot, it's called The Power to Change. And it's by Groeschel. I even saw someone in Israel wants to get the book. Maybe you can listen to it on Audible.
Yeah.
And for me, it's asking that question. And for you, it's going to be identifying it, having the awareness, understanding the cue. And then in that moment, you have to disrupt that pattern.
Right.
That's what he's talking about. He's talking about disrupting that pattern. Because if you keep doing the same loop, your body will forget, oh, that's right. That wasn't good for me.
That wasn't on your goals. That's not what you wanted to do.
It made you feel good in the moment.
Because it's simple and easy. It's an automatic, right?
He goes into the difference between short-term and long-term, honestly, like consequences, running different scenarios of someone who just eats that extra popcorn every day on the couch over the course of 2 years will end up gaining another 33 pounds. I'm just using random numbers here, but the person who chooses not to eat that popcorn and to go on a walk, or has the awareness to change and pivot that pattern to create a different loop, that person will end up losing 33 pounds.
So in the chapters previous, it had you choose things that you wanted to start and what you wanted to stop. And if you did that, this is where you would have the awareness to go, okay, I have the awareness that I want to stop eating out. I want to stop drinking so much pop. I want to stop. So now that you have the awareness, you really have to dig in and go, what is the thing that makes me do it? Like, what is the cue? Why do I end up going through the drive-through? Why do I find myself skipping the gym? Because as soon as you know it, you have a disruption. And the next time you do it, you're going to go, you have that choice. You're like, shoot, this is it. Like, as soon as you have an awareness of something, now your brain is going to go, oh yeah, hey, do you remember this? Hey, you actually wanted to feel better. And remember, this makes you happy, but only short term, because you really want to go to the gym, which will make you happy long term.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's when you actually create that new habit loop, or when you make the right choice. Because let's just be honest, there's a fork in the road and you have to either choose A or B.
Right.
Choices have consequences, good or bad. So let's just say you choose the right choice that you know is that small little habit change, but you choose the right one. In that moment, you have to learn how to celebrate.
Right.
Way to go.
Right. And so he gives examples. He says, for example, a cue, a hard day at work, cravings, it's stress relief, response, drink alcohol, reward, escape thinking about your job, right? Cue release, driving past a fast food joint on the way home. It's a cue. Craving, greasy comfort food, response, get food in the drive-thru and scarf it down in your car, right? Reward, another dopamine rush that feels good for a short time.
In the moment.
And so on the next page, here's what he says. He goes, there are different things that cause cues. There are places, there's times, there's moods, there's moments, and there's people. So there might be certain people that you're around that you're like, okay, if I really want this to change, I can't be around that person or in that environment. When I feel a certain way,
I'm surprised you didn't highlight that.
It causes me to, you can talk about that. Yeah. It causes me to want to respond this way. So if you have an understanding of places that you go that don't serve the goals that you have, certain times of the day, moods that you have, moments or people, that's an awareness of, oh my goodness, if I do this, if I go here, if I'm around this person, it causes me to, there's the cue. So I have to go the different way.
It's so good. So if you can remember this acronym HALT, he uses it underneath the mood section.
I have to underline it.
I
was reading through this part fast. No, I read it.
With HALT, think of it as it's usually that these cues happen in the moment of when you're hungry, when you're angry, when you're lonely, or when you're tired. It's these types of moods and emotions that can actually kind of put you down that downward spiral. And that's why this is so important, because once you can identify it, that's when you have the opportunity to make the right choice.
Right. So the action today is, he says, you're going to work through the 5 major triggers, the cues. So you're going to write, if you're taking notes, which I hope you are, write down places, times, mood, moments, and people. And you're going to ask yourself the question, what are places that cue a positive response? What are places that cue a negative response? What are times that cue a positive response? And same with all of them. What is a mood that cues positive or negative? Moments, right? I would say for me, in general.
Let's give some real life for you.
Well, I would just say in general, it's usually a mood. It's usually like hangry, right?
HALT.
It is. It usually is like I'm hungry angry. Or I'm frustrated. And in that moment, there have been times where I have been frustrated in our home, whether it's with my children, because never with my husband.
I don't know if that's true.
No, but legitimately, I remember standing in the kitchen, being really frustrated or angry about a situation. And I told myself, you know what? If I had some chocolate, this would, I'm not kidding. I remember standing in the kitchen. It was nighttime. I was like, if I just had some chocolate, I'm just going to eat a candy bar. It's not a big deal. It's one candy bar. And I went scrounging through our kitchen. And I couldn't find any sugar that wasn't dark chocolate. So that wasn't good. I was so frustrated. What?
Then what happened?
I went like this. Of course, I don't have any chocolate because I don't buy the candy bars. So then for a second, I thought I could go drive through and get some cookies. And I thought, oh, that takes a lot of work. I'm not going to do it. So then I think I just pouted for a little bit. And then I went and found something to do. Probably did some laundry. But I didn't have it around me. But in that moment, in general, like when we first started dating and then even gotten married, I kept so many Debbie snacks and cakes on the counter that it would have been easy for me because in that moment, I would have had it accessible. But I've changed things and we've changed our habits and we've changed the things that we buy. So in the moment of me being crabby, I didn't have anything conveniently for me to grab.
I liked it because yesterday Craig said in his message, which if you want his message, just comment message down below.
Goodness.
We'll send it to you.
You guys.
It was interesting.
It was incredible.
He said that when you're born, you look like your mother and your father. Oh. But when you die, you end up looking like your habits.
You look like the choices that you've made.
And so here's what I love about what Stephanie just shared. The message is
incredible. Please post message below. If you're on Instagram, you have to message me because it was so good.
So what's interesting about what Stephanie just said is sometimes you're raised in an environment that you don't always have the control of. When you become an adult or even in your life right now, it's so important to take ownership of where you are and the choices that you make. But if Stephanie would have kept going down that road, the little Deborah would have turned into a big Deborah. I'm just saying.
Somebody got offended about that online.
That's
Actually, it wasn't offended. Somebody over in Europe said, I'm so confused. I joked about unfriending my friend Deborah, Little Debbie's. In the United States, we have these little cakes, right? In Europe, they don't have those, I don't think. And so she was like, wait, I'm so confused. You have a different friend named Nat? I was talking about, and I was like, wait, do you not have these little treats? It's not a person, it's a treat. It's like a little cake. And she was like, oh, you Americans.
All right, so hopefully this was helpful. So today you get to identify the positives and the negatives for places, times, moods, moments, and people. And the reason why this is important is because now you have an awareness. You can figure out what those cues are, both positive and negative in your life. For those of you who are just tuning in, this book is The Power to Change by Groeschel. You have to get the book. If you want to listen to the 6 weeks of messages that he's done over the last month and a half,
I'll send you the link.
Just comment message down below, send us a message, and we will get that link to you so you can watch it. I can guarantee you this. If you listen to the message, if you get the book, if you apply it to your life, it will change your life for the best. Remember, when you're born, you look like your mother and your father, but when we die, and we all will face that reality someday, you will look like the sum total of the habits that you chose every day. I hope that this has been helpful for you.
So good.
We still got more to go through in the upcoming chapters, but today's work is critical. It is crucial for understanding and having an awareness for those cues.
All you have to do is go throughout your day and figure out why you're choosing what you're choosing, why you're choosing A or B. Like, all you have to do is watch the habits that you do and your awareness now of things you do automatically, and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I grabbing this?
And if you need help kind of with maybe a creative idea or to kind of rewire your thinking, send us a message. We'd love to give you our input or our insight or in regards to, hey, I'm challenged with this. I'm thinking I want to do this. It starts with your thinking. It starts with who you are before you start doing all of these things. So it's so important. If you're brand new here, comment new down below. We'd love to connect with you. And also just go to KetoMom Secrets. You can check out all of our past lives that we've done covering this book and some other great books as well.
Thanks for tuning in. Your presence matters. Thanks for commenting and adding value below, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.